Okay, well, my name's Ian Drake, and I've been working with James Rothwell, designing and building the specialised mounts and all the sort of internal fabrics and lining of the silver display. My main sort of thing is I design and build museum exhibitions and displays, and I do that throughout the country and abroad. So it's so varied, so your question is in detail, it's a bit difficult really.
Well, in relation to Mount Stewart.
Well, to Mount Stewart specifically, some of the items don't lend themselves to being displayed easily. So we had to look at the ones that wanted to fall over, or when we wanted to group things together, how we could do that best. And then I would come up with solutions and either make those out of various sort of perspex or wood or whatever it was. So there was that element to it, to sort of the final look of the thing. But then also a more sort of fundamental thing was that rich red fabric that it's all covered with. David, the joiner, had to, I sort of instructed him on a sequence in the sides of the panels that would line all of that. And then last month I had a sort of quite intense month where we had to cover over 60 panels with all this fabric and then put them in and see whether they fitted, which they did. So we were both very relieved at the end of that week. I have to plead complete ignorance and say that I hadn't visited. Obviously I live in England and Ireland was a place I wanted to visit, but Mount Stewart in particular wasn't something that was on my list. But having been here and sort of not only worked here, but actually the people around here who I've seen and you know, when I've been out to even the evening and the B&B, people are just so friendly and so lovely that it's made me want to come back, definitely.
Good.
Well, you've just got so much to offer, you know, I'm sort of thinking, why haven't I been here before? So yeah, I definitely will be returning. Well, just about everybody. I mean, I was talking to Louise today that's just saying that what's been so nice about this project, because she was sort of saying, you know, are you still smiling at the end of it? And I said, I am, because it's been a joy actually. I mean, every project has its sort of trials and tribulations, and this one certainly has had those, and where you have to suddenly adapt things and change quickly because something unexpected has happened elsewhere. But everybody has been really accommodating, and it had that sort of team spirit. And I think the longer I've been working here, what's come across to me is the fact that everybody has really sort of had a sense of pride about what they're doing and wanted, you know, it's not just a job. Yeah, and obviously some people have been here an awful lot longer than I have, but even those people who've been here for years working on this project, you can still see their enthusiasm. And I think obviously getting towards the completion of the project, people, you know, can see all these sort of random bits that have been going on behind screens or covered up or whatever, suddenly being exposed and the whole house blossoming, you know, coming to life again. So I think certainly this last visit here has been really, really nice because, you know, that obviously what we've been doing has come to its fruition, and so many other bits that before, as I said, were hidden have now been shown and come to life. So it's been absolutely fantastic. I think the biggest challenge was the time frame, because when I came into the project, the time schedule had already been set. So when I came in at the back end of last year, there were a number of issues that I sort of spotted early on and mentioned to Richard the architect and to other people. And I think some of those things perhaps hadn't been thought of or seen, and it meant that we had to sort of try and swap things around. But because there was a set schedule, it meant that, as often happens, the last sort of bit that's going to happen, which is usually us, gets squeezed. So I think we always knew there was a challenge about time. And but as I said, everybody's been really accommodating. And, you know, last month we put in some long hours, and certainly David, the joiner, and I, you know, we were there till very late every day and not stopping at all. But we got the job done, and I suppose that was the biggest challenge. You know, the silver's been a joy to work with. I wouldn't like to say there was anything particularly that I had done, but I think, obviously I've been working very closely with James Rothwell, who was his National Trust Silver Advisor, And I think for me as well, is actually been seeing his joy and pleasure at the responses that we've been getting. You know, it's been really exciting to see his face light up. Everybody walks in the door and goes, wow, you know, so that certainly has been gratifying. Yeah, I think just people's response. Well, yeah, for me at the moment, I'm going back to England and I'm working with the Trust again at Ickworth, helping them with an exemplar project they've got, which is quite new and exciting. I think there's a different way of just trialling a little way of interpreting things different. Again, I've been called in sort of halfway through the project and they've had other designers working on it and I'm sort of helping them to install it. So that happens, yes, where are we? Towards the end of April, so that'll be interesting to see how it turns out. Well, I think the only thing I'd say was not having enough time to actually explore the fantastic grounds, and hence the reason why I'd love to come back again when the garden's in full bloom, because I've been told by everybody it's spectacular.